Hi, and welcome back to the Knits and Notions podcast. My name is Kira, and I'm so glad to be back. I'm coming to you not live from California, woohoo, which is very dreary today. So yeah, it just felt like a perfect time to get cozy and snuggled up and to catch up with all of y'all because it has been a minute since I've been able to sit down and make a podcast app. I was really inspired this morning by watching and catching up with some of my friends online who have their own knitting podcasts. I was catching up with Bee's podcast, and I was also just like struck by like, oh yeah, I really want to make my next episode, and it's been so long, and I'm like, yeah, I forgot all the things that I do like about doing this thing in the times when, you know, over the holiday season, everything like that, I got really busy. And I got sick a couple of times. So yeah, obviously it's not conducive to being on camera and doing all the things. But I am glad that I kind of waited a little because I was definitely just kind of collecting up things that I've been working on. And so it works out in that way too. To catch up, I guess, last time I was here, I know I was planning on doing Vlogmas. And similarly to B, I didn't do it, even though I had planned to. For me personally, it was really just kind of like I didn't have the time commitment to do it, first of all, which I kind of suspected it might happen. And then also, second of all, it was also just not really feeling super comfy to me. I'm somebody who's can be very wary about, you know, what I share online. And I do feel like coming into like a daily type of vlog type of theme or like thing, I guess, is not going to really work for me. That's not to say in the future I might not, like I won't do a vlog type of content. I really like these like crafty vlogs or like, you know, spend a day working on stuff with me, or like I think it would even be fun to like maybe show a little bit of a behind the scenes of the stuff I do for my little shop, you know, making polymer clays like stitch markers and fun things like that. So yeah, I might do something like that in the future, but I definitely don't see myself doing like a day-to-day type of thing, just because, yeah, it's a lot of pressure, and it's also like I don't want that feeling, right? Like a feeling to perform when I'm just living my life, because that's my living my lifetime. This is my time to, not like I'm really performing right now, but you get it, right? I'm doing my crafty chat thing. I don't want to have to be like this every day, because that's not the reality. I'm not going to be like this every day. So yeah, that's that on that, but hopefully nobody was like disappointed, but yeah, sadly, sorry, but I'm here now. And yeah, just like there's a lot going on. I have so many updates for the things I had talked about in my last episode, which is very exciting, as well as some things that I got over Christmas. I have some crafty presents that some very sweet people in my life had gifted me that I'd like to share. So yeah, so grab a drink, grab a project if you're working on anything, and let's hang out and talk about all our crafty things. So to start off today, I have a very cute knit fit that I'd like to share. I am wearing my my queer immunity shawl, which I still think is such a goofy, silly name for it, but my linen quill Pearl Soho stripy shawl that I made. And I've kind of styled it in this like fun way because I love a neckerchief vibe. I love it so much. And I wanted to like tie a little knot, but it kept on like coming undone. So I had like a big brain idea to put a little hair tie and just like tie it up. And I think it looks really cute. It's kind of giving me, I don't know why, I feel like Sailor Moon vibes, kind of like a neckerchief ascot vibe, but like big version. I don't know, but I think it's a cute fit, and it's very warm and cozy. It's very dreary and gloomy out today, as well as pretty chilly, and we actually might get snow out here this week, which is Woo, wild. So yeah, I need all the coziness I can get. And I'm also wearing my Waves of Change pullover. I believe I know the designer is Byron Handmade on Instagram. I will obviously link it here. The name you can find it under on Ravelry, but it's just a very cozy Raglan pullover. It has like these pearl ridges that I love. This like motif in between like the stockinette, and yeah, it's just super cozy and nice. I was actually thinking of frogging it, which I will get into because I have frogged. Whoo, y'all! I have frogged so much. I think I might be among like the queens of frogging in the knitting community, because I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm really curious like how much people actually frog, because I feel like I frog constantly. It's just like a normal part of my process now. I'm just always frogging and knitting and frogging and knitting and frogging while knitting, which I also get into. But I actually fell back in love with this pullover because I was like thinking of frogging it and then using the yarn to make the cardigan version of this pattern. So it's like still the same thing, but different. Same, but different. But then I was like, actually, I love it again. So, and also this yarn is non-superwash Cascade ecological wool, I believe. And so it's kind of done a little felty thing where, you know, it's been very cozy and lived and loved in, I suppose. So I feel like frogging this would just be a mess and would probably definitely ruin the integrity of the wool, which for this I didn't really think was all worth the hassle just to knit a cardigan. If anything, I'll just order more of this yarn because I do have some like scraps left over from this sweater that I could definitely knit another thing from. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing. Oh, and these earrings. I will link the artist down below, but these are some of my favorite clay earrings. I don't know if you can see. They're little guys, little faces, little like sparkle star guys, which if you know me, the little sparkly emojis, I'll put them somewhere, are my favorite. It's like my favorite motif, which is kind of cheesy because I definitely had like a Japanese phase in my life, which I still love Japan, but I was like definitely anime girly, and I learned my name is like onomatopoeia for like sparkling in Japanese, kira kira. So yeah, that's why I also love the sparkles. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing. Very cozy, very comfy. And so I like to jump in to what I've got going on. So to start off, I think I'll start with some of the things that I got my Crafty gifts that I've received, and then it'll lead me into what all I've got going on. So to start off, I have a very fun acquisition, which are these 4 yards. I know, 4 yards is wild, of quilting cotton that was gifted to me by my partner's sisters for Christmas, which was very sweet. Definitely one of my favorite gifts I've received this year, as well as what Erin gifted me, which I might also insert later. I'll talk about it later. But anyways, first things first, beautiful quilting cotton. Yeah, so Erin's sisters are both very artistic and crafty in their own rights. And they both inspire me a lot in my own crafting practice. Like his whole family, honestly, is very artistic and creative. So yeah, his siblings are very crafty and creative. And specifically one of his sisters also does knitting and sewing and quilting. And so it was very special receiving a gift that I can also quilt with from both of them. And so yeah, I just wanted to share some of these fabric patterns because y'all, look at this bunny fabric. It's literally perfect. I love it so much. Also like this really fun yellow star fabric. It looks like a little bit like of a watercolory almost motif in the background. Also really fun, this like green, yellow, blue one, these dots. Yeah, it's just like so fun. Also, like, because some of these fabric choices I might not have chosen for myself, but then once I've gotten them, I'm like, no, like this is literally perfect. Wouldn't I think of this? So it's like very sweet when you receive gifts like that. It's almost like people kind of like know what you want without you even knowing what you want. You know what I mean? And yeah, last of all is this like wild strawberry print. Oh, so cute. I really, really obviously like, I think each of these fabrics, each sister like picked out two, which is also very cute and sweet. And so, yeah, I can definitely envision like a very naturey bunny bun, sweet, fruity quilt with this, and like a really fun, like, colorful, design with this one, which I think both like, just touching the fabric is just, it's making me so inspired and excited. As well as the fact that I am currently still working on my first full-sized quilt. I think I mentioned all the way back in like my very first podcast episode when I had first starting working on it. And so receiving some new fabric has also like super inspired me to get my button gear and to really work a lot more on my full-size quilt, because I had kind of let it languish a little bit. Like I was losing like inspiration, losing motivation to sew on it. But yeah, new things also make me excited about the things that I have been working on, because then it just means I can work with this stuff sooner as well. So yeah, that's the first thing, which, yeah, I'm so excited. I'm just very excited to share more sewing stuff with y'all this year for sure. And second of all, I now have a couple of copies of PomPom Magazine. PomPom Magazine. PomPom Magazine. I don't know what this song is. It erupted from me. But y'all, PomPom. All of y'all know, right? PomPom Quarterly. I'm like, I don't know who would hear of me and my knitting podcast before hearing about PomPom. But in case you don't know, PomPom Magazine is a quarterly knitting publication of patterns, of beautiful designs, designed by some amazing knitwear designers, beautifully curated into these magazines and collections. And they get me every time. Every time I see one of their new issues come out, it always just hits. It just hits. And yeah, they're just all so good. As well as the fact that I love that PomPom uplifts and like really brings to the forefront some amazing designers, as well as like even the people who they have model for their stuff. I'm just like going off on this because they just announced their latest issue, and yeah, they have some amazing representation in their stuff. It just is such a good feeling. It's a good feeling, because obviously I think the knitting community at large, and also just like the general perception of knitting in the public is, obviously has been very devoid of people of color, of especially like diverse voices, and especially, queer individuals. And so PomPom does a great job of kind of, bringing in that representation that does exist in the knitting community through beautiful designs and publications. So all of that gushing aside, in the fall, I ordered my very first issue of PomPom Quarterly. I still can't say that word. And yes, there are so many good ones, but I especially, my magazine's fallen. I've especially ordered it for this design. I forget what this cardigan is called. I think it's like, I don't know, let me look at what's the design name. There's so many good ones in here, yo. The Gramercy cardigan. Here's the spread, so beautiful, and also just like so good, just so good. Everything about it, so good. Styling, Anyways, yeah. So there's so many beautiful patterns in here. It's been a really big goal of mine as I've kind of become more and more immersed in the knitting space, as I've become more immersed and in love and impassioned with this craft, I've really been trying to think harder about where I get my patterns from, because, at first when I first started knitting, it was very easy to just like pop onto Ravelry and just go, and just pick whatever I saw first that was cool. And while that's awesome and, is very prone to like, beginners, kind of what they end up doing, I, quickly became aware of the ways in which, like, no, I want to support designers that I really believe in and that speak to me in both like what I want from this craft, but also like who I am, right? Like, I'm a queer, like genderqueer person of color knitter. I really found that all the patterns in PomPom have been a great way for me to connect with designers that I really adore, and also like all the designs just really speak to me in my own style as well. So it's been really great in that light as well. And then I was very sweetly gifted the Dreamscape article collection by my sweet friend Natasha, who is just like a light and an immense inspiration for me in this community as well. And I felt like it's also so fitting that they gifted me this because I'm like, if y'all know of Natasha online soft adornments, y'all know like the vibes. Natasha vibes are here, and it's lovely. There are just so many designs in this one, especially, that I find so beautiful, and I'm just so excited. They're all very soft, very feminine, floaty, beautiful, a lot of mohair silk designs, as you can suspect by the cover, as well as like Amy Scher. Yes, Amy Scher has made the effervescent pullover in here, which is the one on the cover, like cover star, hello, so beautiful. And just, I really appreciate having both these issues, but especially the Dreamscape one, I find very inspiring. Because lately I have been trying to get in touch with my femininity in a way, I guess like reclamation, kind of reclaiming my my feelings of innate femininity that belong to me, in a way that is all my own and that isn't pushed upon me, in a larger like societal context. That might be a bit much for like this podcast. I don't want to get into the gender of it all, but it does intersect with the way I dress myself, right? But also like how I connect to this craft, because I'm inspired by people who have a very strong sense of feminine energy, and I also like don't want to discredit the women who have also built this craft for us, right? In this space, grandmothers, mothers, aunts, everybody, whether feminine or non-feminine people as well. But yeah, that's just like a little bit of my process and journey. And so when I got gifted this, it was just like also a very lovely reminder of like ways that I can claim some feminine knitwear for myself in a way that feels good. So yeah, those are those. I didn't expect to like talk about that for so long, but yeah. So next up, I'm going to get into some spinning because it's going to be a very brief little spinning segment, but a very exciting one. Other very sweet friend, Annabelle, gifted me some of this roving. It's BFL roving, which is beyond beautiful and like right up my alley. As soon as I saw this, like inspiration struck, and I knew I had to work with it, this braid. And this is also my first time working really fully with BFL for like a full spin. And y'all weren't kidding. Like, this is so good. It's so good. It feels lovely to work with. It's lovely to draft. And I've been working with it on my little tiny BB spindle, my BB Turkish spindle, which is looking just so lovely. And yeah, I took a very like intuitive, like spinning take to this, this spin. I don't know how to say that. But I've just really I just wanted to let my hands do what my hands wanted to do. And so I've been working just end to end on this braid. Like I just like tore off a chunk and just went top to bottom, like bottom to top or top to bottom or whatever. It's just like boop, 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 boop. I've just been kind of doing that. And so, yeah, I have a couple of little balls off of my turtle cop guy. You can see how the colors of the fiber have been going. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, it's just been so lovely. And it's been a little while since I've really felt like that strike of passion with a spinning project. And so when I had that moment with this braid, I just knew I had to dig right into it and follow that feeling, right? Yeah, that's something that I've been really trying to like step into a little bit more, is just like when I'm intuiting that I'm feeling really excited about a project, like why not just do it, right? I know a lot of like there's a lot of discourse or like talking about oh, like why I'm casting on another project even though I have a big pile of whips. Oopsie. But and I feel that for sure. But I've kind of just like wanted to like erase those thoughts from my brain a little bit more, because I'm just like, yeah, I have a big pile of whips, but they're just not doing it for me right now. And so I'm going to do the thing that's doing it for me. And this spin has been doing it. I tell you, like it gets my heart fluttering to think about the yarn that's going to be created from this. So I know all of y'all get it. Y'all get it. So yeah, I've just been so inspired. And if later down the line of this braid, like if it's not hitting anymore, I'll do something that does. But for right now, it's just been lovely. And so I'm planning on just plying the singles, two ply, very simple, and just seeing what I can do with it. I'm thinking if I have enough, it would be really lovely to do a little bit of a color work detail on a sweater in the future, perhaps. Who knows? But yeah, very happy, very fluffy. I should make this the thumbnail, shouldn't I? Like, ooh. This would be my beard if I was a dwarf in Lord of the Rings, by the way. Which also, like, if any of y'all over the break, the break, I'm speaking like as if my time away from YouTube was like the collective break. But over my break, rather, if y'all watch The Rings of Power, I don't know how I feel about it, really. I'm a very mediocre Tolkien fan. Like, let's be honest. I just like the Lord of the Rings movies. I have read, like, The Hobbit. But I'm not, like, a diehard, go all the way, know all the things, all the lore type of Lord of the Rings fan. But one thing I did wish we had more of in Rings of Power was bearded dwarven women. Like, I was like, where is that? Because everybody's always talking about how the dwarven women have beards, and I'm like, where are they? Hello? So this is my contribution. If I was a dwarf, which I probably would be, let's be honest, if I was in Lord of the Rings, I just feel like, I don't know, it's a vibe. This would be my beard. Okay. Anyways, moving on. I mentioned at the start of this episode, perhaps, I forget if I mentioned it or not, I've been frogging. I love how I said that like it's a big confession. Like, I've been frogging, y'all. Yeah, I frog a lot. This is now like Froggers Confidential. I don't know, like Froggers United. Let's talk about it. I'm a frogger. Hi, my name is Kira. I frog a lot of knitting. This is because I am passionate about wearing my knits and using my knits. And so if I come across something that I've made that is not getting worn, bye-bye. Time to boop, 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 unravel my sweater, a la Weezer. Take one string as I walk away. I'm gone. Bye-bye. And so this next work in progress is actually currently being unraveled. Because this still is my Christmas present to my my beloved Aaron, my partner, my guy. What can I say? I'm just looking at this like so disheartened. Luckily for me, okay, here's the long and short of this one. Luckily for me, I knit stockinette in the round very quickly. so it doesn't feel like a big loss. Unluckily for me, this is a Cozy Classic Raglan, the standard one by Jessie May, which is a lovely pattern. Very simple, very versatile. It just wasn't the fit for Aaron. First of all, like, there's a couple things I did. It's way too long. His torso is not this long. We're actually very similar heights. He's only like a couple inches taller than me, and I'm 5'4". So as you can imagine, like, this is like, whose torso is this? And we both have short torsos. We're mostly like, I guess, legs. I don't know. All that to say, like, yeah, it's just like too long in the torso. I also, I don't know if anybody else does this, but the sewn tubular bind off in the round, I always bind it off way too tight. Too tight. It's really hard for me to like gauge my tension on this one. And so, yeah, it just like, it was a combination of like, the vibe was not very much him. The torso was too long. I think there was a bit like, this sweater fits on me with like a lot of boxy bagginess, like especially like this fabric underneath my armpit, which is like my style. It fit like that. This fit like that on him, and that's not really his style. He's somebody who I think fits like a more like tailored silhouette in terms of his personal style. And so this was just like, it was a wrong on all kind of cylinders type of thing. Also, I've been talking to a couple of other my friends and people online just about making knits for masculine presenting people, which, like, what does that really mean? Like, masculinity is very diverse, but in terms of the way that Aaron's masculinity, I guess, is for him, like how he presents it, this very drapey fabric, because this is like a light or like a fine sport weight yarn. The drapey silhouette also of the fabric was very much like not in tune with his own wardrobe selection, just like the types of sweaters that he wears. And so all this to say, I'm very glad that I didn't get going on the sleeves and didn't just like keep trucking along, because yeah, it's not it. It's not the time for this for Aaron. So it is currently being frogged. Unpicking the sewn tubular bind off has been a task, as you can see. It's just like mess. But it's okay. So what I'm thinking of doing is frogging this sweater and then repurposing the yarn for me. It is Lana's Light by Barocco. It's a very nice yarn. I've really enjoyed working with it. It creates a very squishy, lovely fabric, but it definitely is suited more to me. Oops, how'd that happen? Oh no, the present I bought for Aaron is now for me? Oopsie. Oh well, what you gonna do? Am I right, knitters? Am I right, guys? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of other knitters have been in this situation before, but it's fine. I do think that he would probably like a little bit of a heavier weight sweater in terms of what his vibes are. So Annabelle recommended to me to check out Ready Set Raglan, which is another PomPom publication, which I also got. Because PomPom had like a less than perfect sale is what they called it. So like there's a lot of issues that were, not in mint condition, that they sell for half off at times. Very good deals. And one day in January, I was having very bad tummy pains, because your girl's digestion is not that good sometimes. And so, yeah, I bought a lot of issues of PomPom, like 3 new issues, which is a lot, but I'm very excited. Because like I said earlier, I just love PomPom. I love me some PomPoms. And Ready Set Raglan, like I was saying, sorry, I got off track, has a lot of raglans and sweaters like I knit for Aaron. So yeah, I'm going to check them out. And it's very nice to hear that like there's some heavier weight sweaters in there too. So I will keep you updated on what becomes of this, but I have a couple ideas in mind for this yarn, so I'm very excited about that. Okay, so I guess keeping with the gray sweater collection that I didn't really realize was happening as I've been knitting, is this cutie. Hello, cute. this is a little cozy, this is a White Mountains sweater by Midori Hirose, and I'm knitting it with some frogged Nutiden unspun yarn. Y'all, like I forgot I didn't talk about this on here, but I started frogging my cotton grass jumper by the Petite Knitter because when I started wearing it, because I was first like able to wear it in winter, obviously, because it's a very heavyweight sweater for my climate. And I quickly found out that not doing the short rows shaping in the back was a really bad idea. And it seems obvious now that it wasn't really a good idea. But, you know, I'm learning and growing in terms of knitwear fitting for myself. And that was one instance where I learned. And now I've grown to understand that I do need short row shaping. It really helps, especially not like in a yoke style sweater. There was a lot of gapping and it was very uncomfy. And if something is uncomfy, I'm not going to wear it. I'm sure a lot of people feel similarly. Like if something's like kind of rising up and choking you, is like, oh no, that's not the vibe. And so it seems ironic, I guess, since I'm also knitting a high neck sweater, but I did do short row shaping on this little number and it makes all the difference. Like I do like high neck designs, just not when things are like, like doing that thing when every time I move my arms, like that other sweater was like, and so anyways, I don't know why y'all need examples of me getting choked by a sweater. This is a very simple design. Very simple, very cute. Twisted rib at the neckline. There's a lot of different variations of doing the neck. And then I also did twisted rib in the hem. Very nice. It fits pretty good. It's a little bit more snug than I had intended, but I actually kind of like it. And it is very cozy. It feels like a hug, you know, it's like a nice warm cozy hug. And of course, Nutiden, if you know, you know, it's very nice and I'm using it held two together. And so I'm going to finish this hopefully with the last 100 grams or so of the yarn that I have still for the sleeves. It's still currently in the yoke of my cotton grass jumper, and so it's definitely been interesting frogging unspun yarn because as you suspect, like the very long fiber lengths and everything, it locks into place, right? That's why it's so nice using like unspun yarn, especially for color work. For color work, because it kind of just like all melds in nicely together, which I was very proud of for my cotton grass jumper. But yeah, like I've said a million times before, like if something's not fitting for me, I'm not going to wear it. I have to do something. And so I'm not too worried about frogging the rest of the yarn. The only thing is that I'm kind of worried there's going to be a slight gauge difference possibly in the sleeves because that yarn has been, you know, knit with. So there's slight twist in it. But I don't think personally that aspect will bother me as long as it still fits decently. So I'll keep y'all updated on how this all goes. But yeah, so far so good. I really, really like it. And I think it'll be a great wardrobe piece for next winter. Okay, this is my last work in progress, which is also a continuation of today's theme, which just happens to be frogging, apparently, because I am currently frogging this little toe of a sock that I knit for Erin. Oh my gosh, like 2 years ago now. This is some of the Cloudborne Fibers yarn that I had purchased online at massive discount. Way back when this is like some of the first yarns I ever bought. And I knit this was a DRK everyday sock. And the fit was not it once again. It's very hard obviously to knit for other people. And so yeah, I had measured his feet and everything like that, but it just wasn't a good fit. I think the design wasn't right, and for me, I don't know. I don't know. So anyways, all that to say, I'm now knitting a very basic vanilla sock for me out of it. Yeah, very standard. I've been on a really big vanilla sock knitting jam right now because it's, I'm back in lectures, I'm back in school, and it's just a very nice way to keep myself occupied while listening to people talk all about therapy and all that fun stuff. And, sometimes those conversations can be very intense. Obviously, it's something I'm very used to by now. But it's just nice to have a little knitting as a comfort. When you're talking about all the big things, like all the big T trauma stuff. Ooh. So yeah. But you can also see a little cloud. I have a little sad cloud stitch marker on here, or progress keeper, I guess is the correct term. I like saying stitch marker still because I'm like, oh, it marks my stitch where I left off. Anyways, but also marks like my progress. I think I really like using progress keepers, which is kind of funny. I didn't know that about myself, even though I've been kind of making them. Because usually what I would do with progress keepers like this is I'd just like slip my needle like on really fine gauge works through the little guy and just use it as a unique begin of round stitch marker. And just use my other ones, for other things. So these ones that I make fit up to I think you could fit up to a size 6 knitting needle through here. And that's typically what I work with in that range. So that's what I used to use them for. But I've recently found with these socks, it's been really nice to use them for progress. Because sometimes when you're knitting a vanilla sock, you're like, when will it end? I've been going forever. And this is a really nice way to be like, oh yeah, I've knit 4 inches in the past hour. Holy cow. I don't know if that's accurate to how fast I knit, but yeah. And so yeah, this has been my comfy, cozy, fun knit. And I've also really wanted to bolster my hand knit sock collection. Because I have knit a couple of socks out of my hand spun, but I can't wear those all the time because I quickly found out recently that I have worn some holes in them, which is expected. So I've been darning those as well. But this is some superwash yarn. And while I'm not the biggest fan of superwash, I do think it has a place, at least for me, in sock knitting. In terms of how I do things, because it's just nice to know that I won't have to really worry about them getting holes or anything like that. They're just a little bit more sturdy, I don't have to worry about them as much. So it's just nice to have some hand knit socks for myself that are just more simple, more everyday type of deals. And yeah, I just try to be mindful of I don't like putting them through my washer with all my other clothes necessarily. I just treat them like other hand knit socks. But yeah, so that's what I've been working on. Project I just finished, which are these funky socks. These are fun. So this one's still unblocked, but yeah, I guess that you might be able to sense that I have been really stash busting lately. I've just been really going into my stash and reevaluating what I have in there and what I want to use. I should say that along with that sock that I'm frogging, I frogged 2 projects that I knit with Pearl Soho linen quill, fingering weight yarn that I had. I had knit at the end of last year, or towards the end of last year, I had knit a rib lace raglan by James and Watts. And then I also had knit a Cozy Classic Raglan Light by Jessie May in that yarn. And with both projects, I actually found over time that as I had been wearing them, that they weren't really fitting right. And so I was like, I cannot have this yarn sitting in here any longer if I'm not going to wear these at all. And that's just been a really big point of growth for me in knitting. It's just learning how I want things to fit and also I can sometimes be a little bit fickle with how I like things to fit because it is very influenced on my gender presentation for that period of time. And so with those two, they just weren't really doing it for me. And while it might have been smart to just like kind of leave them be and just like, oh, I'll come back to them when I come back to them. I just found like I could do something better with this yarn. And I also feel like in terms of my style and my presentation, like I'm definitely hitting a much more like consistent, like, ooh, this is who I am feeling with them, you know? And I'm beginning also, now that I'm more experienced with knitting, like beginning to really find those designs that are really like heritage, like, or like can be like heritage pieces for my own wardrobe, and like whoever comes after me, like I don't know, when I kick the bucket, if I'm gonna have like a niece or nephew or somebody who's like Grandma Kira's stuff, you know, to give to them, or like, oh, this is a cool thing that like one of my ancestors made, like, whoa, I don't know. So anyways, these socks probably won't be things that are passed down for generations in my family. But they are just remnants of more things that I've frogged and yarn I've reclaimed. So it's really funny because I started off with this sock, which is like very plain Jane standard. Like, yep, this is a respectable average sock. And then this sock I started because I ran out of all the other like this yarn that I was using because I'm reclaiming, just going at it. I just picked up some other scraps I had. And then I just picked up more scraps and just all sorts of funny stuff happened. I had joked online that like I had made like the most ugliest pair of socks because I'm like, what the heck are these? Like this is just like gray taupe, gray green, like very weird. But they've kind of worn, like, you know, kind of worn their way into my little heart a little bit. I just think like, yeah, these are kind of cute and they're just mine and they're just my scraps. And I can see little peaks of like past projects in them, which is really fun. And a couple other people are like, I think those are so cute. And I was like, you're right. They are pretty cute. So yeah, these are some very vanilla fun socks that I've been knitting on. And I was working on these in our knit night, and then I was working on them in my lecture. And so yeah, very fun. Right, we have gotten to the main event, which is where I get to show all the things that I've finished in the time since I've been here. So those other two sweaters were like mostly finished projects. One of them is going to be an unfinished project again soon. But I wanted to recap on where I left off, which was frogging my MKL shawl. Which we all had a good chat about. And so I was speaking with one of my Knitstagram friends, Lane, and they had mentioned that they were thinking of doing a Starflake shawl by Stephen West with their MKL yarn. And I was like, ooh, I actually kind of like that pattern. I had never really thought of knitting that pattern with the MKL yarn because it is a 2-color shawl. But then I was like, what the heck? I definitely have enough yardage. Like, I can make my own rules and put my colors wherever I want. And so, ta-da! I did it! Boom. I have to, like, sit back because it's so big. He's so big. Oh my gosh. So here's, I don't know if you can see all of it, but here it is. My lovely Starflake shawl, which I finished in, like, mid-January. So it's like a very wintry vibe, despite the colors being kind of like autumnal. It's like a big snowflake, big star. Yeah, so I had started this to kind of knit with Lane, and then I felt bad because I just kept knitting and I couldn't stop. So I'll have to touch back with them and how I want to see how theirs is going. But I got really into this. And it helps that I started this shawl when I was a sick person. I was very sick at the end of November, and that's where I started making like this part. And once I got past this little like star part, I was like, ooh, I cannot stop. I can't stop. And then when I got to the brioche, and I was like, okay, I'm still going. But then I got to all this stuff down here, these lace little bits, which look cute and stunning and fun. But they were just like a marathon to knit. Like in terms of like, I was just like trudging along like hour after hour. I was like, double yarn over again. Oh my God. I'm not a really big lace knitter, if you can tell. I guess I'm just like not super accustomed to it. which is very ironic now because now I'm realizing the two finished objects I have are both like very lace heavy. This one's not super lace heavy, but yeah, this shawl has a lot of stitches in it. It took me a long time, but probably a much shorter time than it would feasibly take if I wasn't sick and like working on it for like 10 hours in a day at one point. But yeah, but I do really love it. I love how it turned out. I love the vibes. It's very fun, and it's such a unique piece to have in my knitting wardrobe, as well as like a really big time for me to step out and like try new color combinations. Like, whoa, I've never tried anything like this before. So yeah, I really love it. It's also knit with some singles yarns, which I talked about last time. I forgot what it's called. I'll put it on the screen. Which has been a learning lesson. I definitely feel like it is a little bit pilly, which is to be expected. So I feel like it's definitely going to be something I wear from time to time, and definitely not like an everyday kind of wear, just with the delicacy to be in mind. So yeah, but I really, really love it. Love the Starflake. Yeah, definitely surprised myself with this one for sure. Okay, and then next up is another Stephen West design. I was really on a Stephen West kick, I guess, which I guess I kind of have been from the beginning, but I'm hoping to branch out, try some more smaller designers. I'd like to learn some new design names, but this one is the Dotted Rays shawl. Yay! And it's really fun. This is a really fun knit to knit. This is not how I would wear it, but maybe could wear it like this. Knit from my sweet Instagram friends, Yarn Esty in Pine Grove, that indie dyed yarn that they dyed. And I knit it as a little sweet Cal, I guess, knit along with my friend Christy. And also I know that my friend Natasha knit one, and we all knit one. And we just invited other people to just knit any shawl if they wanted to, which it was just kind of like it was just like very chill. We called it like the chill shawl Cal, just a really random kind of Cal, I guess, just like a reason to knit with my friends and just share it with people, like, hey, knit together, because I was kind of missing that community vibe after I didn't go through with my mystery knit along. And yeah, this was another surprising knit for me. Definitely didn't expect to like it as much as I did. Definitely want to knit this again in some non-superwash yarn. So yeah, you can definitely tell, like, I didn't like try to alternate the skeins. There's definitely like a color shift, big color shift vibe in there. But I like it, and I could barely tell, like in person, you can't tell as much. And if you can, like, it still is a cute look. So yeah, this was really fun. And yeah, like I said, I would love to knit this again. Just very simple. And once you kind of get the hang of it, you kind of just get going. Because I kind of struggled at the beginning to get accustomed to all the big lacy holes in there. And like also the way that like the dotted rays pattern kind of goes. It's kind of hard to tell, like, especially when you first start it, you're like, what is happening? There's just a lot of holes everywhere. But then they kind of incrementally distance and expand out, like the rays of the sun or something. But yeah, I think this would be very cute in a non-superwash woolly fuzzy wool as a really nice accessory to just like wear as a little scarf. I think would be cute. I especially like the look of fuzzier, woollier wools and lace together. Looks very fun and cute. So yeah, I'll let you know if I knit it again, but I'll probably wait a while before I do that. That was everything. That was all of the stuff that I've been knitting and working on over the past couple of months. So I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to subscribe, to like it, something. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. But yeah, I just had a really great time talking to y'all. I'm looking forward to getting back in here a little bit more, and maybe sharing some other types of videos. I've considered like maybe a little like crafty vlog of like a day in my life, just like one day when I'm like really working on something. Like I don't know. I'm curious like what you guys would be interested in. Feel free to comment and let me know like what kind of videos you'd like to see from me. I've even considered like some more like studio vloggy type stuff in terms of like how I'm working on my clay stitch markers and stuff like that. Could be fun to do like a behind the scenes of what I get up to. You might see an appearance of like Crafty Gremlin Kira, which is what I call myself when I'm like hunched over my desk in my PJs, working with some clay for a couple hours at a time. Because yeah, I found a lot of love for that aspect of my crafty life as well. Just having so much fun, and there's a lot of excitement in me right now for creating some spring designs for my shop, because I just had my Valentine's Day update, which is always a really fun one because I get to do like a lot of like very love core, sweetie-hearty, sweetheart stuff, lovey-dovey, cutie stuff, and so I'm looking forward to doing some like spring regrowth, cute, sweet bunny stuff for the spring. Plants, critters, oh my. I'm also considering making some quilty offerings soon for my shop, so who knows? That's just like some fun stuff I'm thinking about. So yeah, all that is that. That's what I've been up to. Let me know what you've been knitting on and how you've been feeling in terms of knitting inspiration lately. I'm kind of rambling now. Sorry. Or not sorry. Maybe this is what you live for. Maybe you're like, Kira, I want to hear you ramble more. I don't know. But yeah, so until next time, I will talk to you then. All right. Bye.